Welcome back to the Deep Dive. This is where we take the source material you're curious about, session notes, character backstories, pilot episodes, and we really just pull them apart to see what makes them tick.
We do the deep reading so you get the cinematic experience.
Exactly. And today we're focusing entirely on a single, really foundational story. It's the origin tale of a character named Valindra Eladithas.
And we should be very clear about our sources here. We are dissecting one single document, the pilot session notes, what's referred to as session point 1.
So this is purely her origin. No spoilers, no future events.
None. This is all about the raw establishing moments of her character. It's a tale of survival, flight from some pretty devastating violence, and this grueling journey that ends with her washing up, basically, at the gates of Waterdeep.
And our mission today is to understand the scars, right? The foundational traumas that really define who she is. Because when you look at the visual descriptions, you get this picture of a high elf, blonde hair, blue eyes.
Right.
She's wearing practical armor, but then there's this one detail, a simple, worn crown.
Yeah, and that's such a contradiction.
It is. It suggests some kind of noble heritage, or at least a resilient one. But you quickly realize it's all born from this immediate and an irreversible tragedy.
It's a perfect study in character design, really. We're analyzing what brought her to that moment of desperation, what specific traumas she's carrying.
And what's driving her.
And critically, yes, what powerful singular hope drove her across, well, half a continent when absolutely everything she knew was gone.
Okay, let's unpack this. Valindra's story, it doesn't start with a triumph or a grand prophecy. It starts with a bang, a terrifying, life-altering bang.
The sources, they don't ease you into it.
Not at all.
Right from the jump, you're just immersed in this sheer atmospheric trauma of her childhood. The opening scene isn't a moment of peace that gets interrupted.
No, it's already post-trauma.
Exactly. It's a detailed scene of existing amidst ruin. The setting itself, it feels like a character. The text says, "The wind howled a mournful dirge across the desolate peaks."
A mournful dirge. I mean, that's such a specific choice of words.
It is. It's not just wind. It's a song of grief. It suggests that even the silence up there is just filled with the memory of violence. The land itself is grieving.
And it's in this place that we learn about the event that shattered everything for her, a brutal raid.
And it wasn't a battle or a drawn-out conflict. The sources imply it was swift, efficient, and just completely devastating.
And Valindra's just a child.
Just a child. Her innocence is just completely contrasted with this violence and her escape. It wasn't a choice. The source describes her as being swept away by the river.
That imagery is so powerful, swept away. It's not she ran or she fought her way out.
No, it's passive. It means she was completely overwhelmed by forces she couldn't control. Maybe she was unconscious, maybe just too small and in shock. But the river took her.
And that current, it just violently severs her from her home, her family, everything. It establishes that first, deepest scar.
Yeah.
Total helplessness.
And the source of that helplessness, the source of that severing, is given a very specific, almost iconic face. Her parents were murdered by a single memorable figure.
The lightning bolt tattooed warlord.
Yes. And giving the villain that kind of specific detail is crucial. It means Valindra's trauma isn't attached to some vague idea of evil, like raiders or a horde.
It's attached to a brand, an unforgettable image.
An image she can't escape.
Let's drill down into the psychology of that for a second. The branding, a lightning bolt. I mean, that's raw, destructive, uncontrolled energy.
Pure chaos. Maybe a connection to a storm god like Talos. But the fact that it's a tattoo...
It's permanent.
It's permanent. He's not just wielding destruction, he embodies it. He carries his identity right there on his skin, advertising that he's an instrument of elemental fury.
For a child seeing that, he's not just a man anymore. He's a monster, a figure of inevitable doom.
And the memory of that tattoo becomes her own internal scar. It's a permanent reminder burned into her memory of what she lost and who took it.
Structurally, it's brilliant. You have this force of pure, recognizable destruction, and, just from that, the story is going to need an equal and opposite force.
An anchor of order.
What goodness. Which we'll get to. But before that, the sources make it clear it wasn't just one trauma.
No, it's compounded. It's what makes her story so deeply tragic. It's not just losing her parents, which is, devastating enough for anyone.
But it was separated from her sister, Lura.
Her younger sister, Lura. And that separation, it creates this deep, foundational emotional deficit. It instantly transforms her story from one of mere survival
into a quest
for reunification. Her life now has a purpose, even if it's a desperate one.
And the sources linger on these beautiful, just achingly bittersweet memories she has, making toy boats by the river.
The detail of the rough bark, it's so specific, it's a tactile memory.
And the sound of Laura's laughter. These aren't grand, epic memories of a lost kingdom. They're small, intimate.
And that's why they're so powerful. They stand in this agonizing contrast to the huge impersonal violence of the raid.
These fragments are what she's holding on to.
They are her anchors. The warlord gave her trauma, absolutely. But Lura gave her the reason to endure it. For years, she might have just been running, just surviving. But the memory of that laughter, the feeling of that bark,
It's proof.
it's proof that a good life existed once. And if it existed once, it's worth fighting to reclaim. This isn't just a character with a sad backstory. She is driven by one all-consuming emotional goal.
Which sets the stage perfectly for her to stop running and start seeking.
So years pass, and yet you have to imagine what those years were like. Solitude, constant fear, the gnawing pain of not knowing. For a high elf whose lifespan is so long, these years must have felt like an eternity of just being lost.
And that central goal, finding Lura, it probably started to feel like a fading dream.
It must have. But then it gets rekindled. And it's rekindled by a classic narrative device.
The cryptic words of a hermit.
Exactly. And we have to look at the structure here. The rumor that Lura might still be alive is well, it's just a whisper. It's unverified. It's vague.
And it comes from a hermit. I mean, not exactly the most reliable source of intelligence.
But that's the point, isn't it? Structurally, the source of the information doesn't matter as much as the effect of the information.
Right. It transforms a painful memory back into a living mission.
It's like a defibrillator for her hope. Before this moment, she's surviving. After this moment, she is on a grueling journey south. The hermit's job wasn't to give her a map. It was to give her just enough fuel to start the engine again.
And that changes everything, the journey itself. The sources use the word grueling. We have to imagine her crossing mountains, harsh plains, always looking over her shoulder.
Constantly. For the shadow of that lightning bolt warlord. Every single step she takes south is described as a painful reminder of her trauma.
You have to think about the psychological toll of that. For years, she's trading any chance of comfort or safety for this sliver of hope.
And the fact that she emerges from this journey wearing armor and that simple crown, it suggests she didn't just survive, she grew stronger. She earned a kind of nobility through sheer hardship and focus.
But a journey needs a destination. Hope is fuel, but you need a contact point, an anchor.
And that brings us to the significance of Gundren Rockseeker.
The source says she clung to the memory of Gundren Rockseeker's kindness. This is it. This is the counterweight to the warlord.
Absolutely. If the warlord is chaos and destruction, Gundren, this sturdy, dependable dwarf, represents stability, safety, basic human decency in a world that showed her none.
But let's push on that a little. Why would his kindness specifically resonate so deeply that a traumatized child would carry it for years and stake her entire future on it?
I think the depth of her reliance suggests it was more than just a passing kind word.
It had to be.
He must have done something profound. Maybe he gave her family shelter during the chaos before the final raid. Maybe he provided food, supplies, or just a moment of genuine safety when everything else was falling apart. The hope she places in him now has to be proportional to the kindness he showed her then.
He became the personification of a world that hadn't completely abandoned her.
And he gave her something tangible.
The yellow gemstone.
The yellow gemstone he gifted her. And this is the core motif of this whole section of her journey. It's described as a beacon in the darkness. It's her lifeline.
It's not just a memory of a face, which can fade or get distorted by trauma. It's a physical object she can hold in her hand.
And it confirms that goodness is real. That Gundren is real, solid, and reliable. The gemstone is her narrative tether. She's not just wandering south aimlessly, she's following this physical proof of past decency.
The journey is described as fraught with peril and the gnawing loneliness of a lost soul. But this memory, confirmed by this stone, it's her inexhaustible fuel.
It is. It's the object that bridges the violent break between her past and her potential future.
So this intense focus on one person, one goal, it narrows her entire world, and eventually it pays off. She gets her first major concrete clue in the town of Tribor.
Right. The rumors there specifically point to Lura heading toward the bustling metropolis of Waterdeep.
And that's a huge transition point. She's been in the rugged, dangerous wilderness, and now her target is the most sophisticated grand city on the Sword Coast.
You look at the descriptions of Waterdeep, the tall towers, the busy port, the sheer vibrancy, and you see this profound contrast. Her entire life has been isolation and raw survival.
And now her goal is inside this massive, complicated urban ecosystem. The stakes just went way up.
Immediately, Waterdeep is her best and maybe her last chance. The source material describes the hope surging inside her like a fragile butterfly fluttering in the storm of her memories.
I love that line. She's trading the isolation of her known pain for the dizzying, dangerous hope of the big city.
Which forces her to take her biggest risk yet.
She has to get there fast. The urgency of finding Lura, combined with the lure of Waterdeep, she abandons the relative safety of the roads.
And takes to the open sea. This whole next section of session 0.1 is it's incredibly cinematic and deeply psychological. She risks this treacherous sea journey only to be caught in a violent tempest.
Of course she is. The literal chaos of the storm is a perfect mirror for the turmoil within her.
It's the external world finally matching her internal state. The universe is reflecting her struggle between this relentless pursuit of hope and the crushing weight of her trauma.
And she's reduced, once again, to that feeling of being a helpless child. She's tossed overboard like a discarded toy.
Just fighting for survival, clinging to a splintered piece of driftwood. It's the ultimate test. It's pushing her physical endurance to its absolute limit.
But it's more about her will to live, isn't it?
It is, because in that moment of physical desperation, the storm triggers a psychological reckoning. It forces her to synthesize her entire life. The sources say her memories, joyous and agonizing, become her anchor.
So the physical pain, the fear of drowning, it forces her to latch on to the only things that truly matter. It's a defense mechanism against despair.
A moment of total recall. She's reliving the terror of the ray, the face of the warlord, the hope from the hermit, Gundren's gentle smile.
But the real anchor, the non-negotiable one, has to be Lura.
It's always Lura. She grips those tiny, intimate details that can stand up against the vast, cold indifference of the sea. The source says she remembers the feel of the rough bark, the sound of Lura's laughter.
Those are the fragments of life she's trying to reclaim, and they give her this raw, almost animal determination to just not die.
And against all odds, she makes it. She achieves her goal. But she doesn't arrive in Waterdeep like a triumphant hero.
No, she arrives broken.
Washed ashore on the beaches of Waterdeep. It's the anticlimax of the journey. The city lights are a distant, flickering promise, but the reality is she's soaked, her clothes are torn and muddied, and she's just stumbling through these rain-slicked streets.
It's a powerful visual metaphor. You have this gleaming, magnificent city, this beacon of civilization.
And her miserable, tattered entry. She's carrying the grit of the wilderness and the scars of the storm right into a city built on order and wealth. Her arrival is anything but glamorous.
It's the exhausted, desperate end of a marathon.
But even then, despite the pain, the exhaustion, the sheer, overwhelming scale of the city, her focus is like a laser.
The internal monologue confirms it. It's all about Gundren. To find Gundren Rockseeker, she knew he could help. He had to.
There's no room for doubt in her mind. Gundren isn't just a destination anymore. He's the pivot point for her entire future. Without him, the journey ends right there in a gutter in Waterdeep.
He is her only lifeline.
The only lifeline to sanity and to making any progress in this overwhelming new world.
So she uses whatever strength she has left in that singular focus to track him down. She finds him in what seems like a tavern, the ship's wheel maybe, a busy, crowded place.
And that setting just reinforces her isolation, doesn't it? She's in a room full of people, but she is utterly alone, looking for this one connection.
The climax of her entire origin story, of this whole session point one, it all comes down to one crucial, nonverbal moment.
She finds him, and you can just feel the tension. After years of hardship, the near-fatal storm, she's finally there.
Yeah.
And then, the critical moment. He looked up, a flicker of recognition in his eyes.
Okay, let's just pause on that. That one flicker. Because structurally, that single word validates her entire journey.
It does. It confirms the connection is real. The story doesn't just collapse into despair. But what does that flicker actually mean?
Right. The ambiguity is brilliant. It's not necessarily, oh, Valindra, look how you've grown. It could be him recognizing the child he once helped.
Or maybe, more likely, recognizing the yellow gemstone she's probably clutching for dear life.
I wonder if part of that flicker is guilt. Or maybe sadness. If Gundren is a good person who saw the devastation the warlord caused, that flicker might be this profound sorrow that this trauma has found him again.
That's a great point. It could be relief that she survived, but also apprehension. He might be thinking, oh no, she brought it with her. She brought that darkness here.
He's immediately entangled, whether he wants to be or not. He recognized the tragedy, and now the living embodiment of that tragedy is standing at his table in Waterdeep.
And Valindra's internal response to that flicker is the perfect end to this chapter of her life. She thinks to herself that her journey had just begun.
The survival story is over.
And the active quest starts right now. And Gundren is the launchpad. The session ends with this avalanche of questions, which is exactly what a good pilot should do.
So we have to speculate based only on what we've seen in this session. Let's start with the big one, Lura.
Right. Valindra's entire mission hangs on a hermit's rumor that Lura was heading to Waterdeep. So, question 1. Does Gundren know anything about Lura?
Could Lura have been seeking him out too? Maybe he's already been searching for her?
And if Lura is in Waterdeep, she's not safe. She would have arrived years earlier, just as traumatized. And a massive city is a dangerous place for a lost child. Gundren's resources. They instantly become Valindra's only hope of finding her.
Okay, and then there's the warlord. If Gundren was in that region when the raid happened, and Valindra specifically names the lightning bolt tattooed warlord.
Does Gundren know who that is? Does he understand the kind of power, or the kind of pure chaotic evil she escaped from?
Because the moment Valindra asks Gundren for help, she might be painting a giant target on his back. She's drawing that ancient, violent enemy's attention right to him, right to his contacts, right to Waterdeep.
And that's the core dramatic irony, isn't it? The figure of kindness who anchored her past might be the very link that drags her violent history into her future.
His simple act of decency years ago is now coming back to potentially get him killed.
The entire quest now depends on whether Gundren is willing or even able to accept that risk. The session ends with these huge, uncomfortable questions just hanging in the air.
What secrets is Gundren holding? And is Waterdeep, this gleaming city of hope, about to become the stage for a very bloody reckoning?
It's an incredible foundation for a character.
It really is. So let's summarize the key takeaways from session 0.1, just looking at the architecture of the character they've built.
Okay. First, Valindra Eladithas is defined by this deep well of very specific, very acute trauma. The warlord, the murder of her parents, and the loss of her sister, Lura. She survives through just sheer, relentless will.
But she's also driven by an equally powerful, singular emotional anchor. The memory of Gundren's kindness, and the tangible proof of it, that yellow gemstone. Gundren is order. The warlord is chaos.
And her arrival in Waterdeep is purely functional. She's not there to sightsee. The journey is over. But her total reliance on Gundren shows she has no other resources. Her only goal is finding Lura and trying to piece her stolen life back together.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me. We've established the warlord carries this permanent, chaotic symbol, the lightning bolt.
Right.
And Gundren offered a tangible object, a yellow gemstone, as a memento of kindness. What if the gemstone is more than just a memento?
What are you thinking?
I mean, if we're talking about mythology, about opposing forces, a gemstone carried through all that hardship that she used as a beacon. What if it represents the very light or order that the warlord's chaos seeks to destroy?
So it's not just a rock. It's a physical object that Valindra unknowingly used to resist the warlord's psychological influence over her life.
Exactly. What if Gundren, knowingly or not, gave her an actual relic of protection? That would make him an enemy of the warlord just by association, long before Valindra ever found him again.
That raises the stakes considerably. He didn't just give her hope. He may have given her a narrative weapon.
And it forces you to rethink the whole situation. If Valindra traded the safety of being anonymous and alone for the peril of hope in a city, is Waterdeep really safe?
Or is it just a larger, more crowded stage for the violence she fled?
So something for you to mull over on your own. When Gundren looked up and saw this determined, scarred elf clinging to his kindness, did he realize that by recognizing her, he wasn't just affirming her hope?
He was also potentially inviting the destructive power of the Lightning Bolt Warlord directly to his doorstep.
Treating a simple act of charity years ago for a violent entanglement today, the survival of her entire quest might hinge on the consequences of a kindness he barely remembers showing.
An absolutely devastating foundation for a character, built on profound loss, relentless will, and the promise of violent confrontation right in the heart of civilization.
That's all we have time for on this deep dive into the origins of Valindra Eladithas. Thank you for joining us.
We'll catch you next time.